camper sets, you get lots of good stuff and special clothes. So everybody knows when we're firemen or carpenters or going camping, my buddy and me.
Me and My Buddy adventure sets of carpenter, camper, soldier, and fireman sold separately. My Buddy sold separately too from Play School.
Yeah, it was the late 80s and My Buddy was everywhere. Man, even I had a doll. Anywhere you went, it was in the stores and in the TV. It was a quick craze, just like Tickle Me Elmo was in the 90s. So looking at Chucky, I'm not sure if it was intentional, announced, or what the case was, as I didn't come across it in my research. But I'm sure that they were jumping on this bandwagon to promote the film. Think of it, the latest craze turned into the latest scare. But anyway, this film was quite successful. Let's see why it was so hyped. The movie opens with Charles Lee Ray running from cop Mike Norris, no relation to Chuck. Charles, played by Brad Dourif from One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest and Halloween, etc. He's also the voice of Chucky, obviously. He gets shot and his buddy Eddie bails on him. They chase on and Charles breaks into a toy store. Charles gets shot and is cornered in the toy store. He swears to get revenge on him and Eddie, then he begins to look for a body. Charles finds the body of a doll, and then dramatically states the magic words until a giant bolt of lightning blows the place to shit. Oh yeah, that was awesome. Charles now is presumed dead. Meet Andy Barkley. He loves his good guy stuff and is dying for a doll. No pun intended. Makes his mom a stellar breakfast, and now meet Karen Barkley, played by Catherine Hicks, a mother raising Andy all by herself. Andy desperately hopes he got a good guy doll for his birthday, but is let down when the box is filled with clothes. Luckily he got anything at all, you spoiled brat. Anyway, this guilt trips the mother big time. Karen's friend Maggie shows up at work and tells Karen that there's a guy outside that'll sell it to her cheap. She returns to her desk and her boss is waiting there ticked off. Look at him, what a little weasel, isn't he? Anyways, she informs her that she'll have to work late, and Maggie goes off to babysit Andy for the night. Andy gets his good guy doll and he's super pumped about it, unknowing that it's actually Chucky. They hug and yeah, it's a nice favor from Mom. Chucky is bored out of his wits playing along with this doll facade. Also, Chucky starts to give messages to Andy to relay to the adults, and he's determined to get to Eddie, his old partner, and to the cop. More on that later. Chucky turns on the TV and Andy gets blamed for it. This would happen over and over again in the film. Andy kisses Chucky, there's touching. Also, the scene where Chucky runs behind Maggie, yeah, that's actually Alec Vincent's or Andy Barclay's little sister in real life. Chucky then throws a hammer right into Maggie's face, sending her out the window unto her death. You can kind of see her running backwards and jumping if you watch carefully, which kind of sucks, but oh well. But the hood smashing scene is better than the one in Friday the 13th 4. Karen returns and is devastated by her death. The detective, on the other hand, is stumped, with his only suspicion being the boy. But how could that be? Andy realizes first that Chucky is involved, trying to report the flower that he found on his shoes. Chuck also tells him his name, Charles Lee Ray. They actually got that name from Charles Manson, Lee Harvey Oswald, and James Earl Ray. Andy's first plea to his mother that Chucky is alive doesn't go well. She scolds him and, well, thinks he's lying basically. Andy goes to school only to split after his mom leaves. All this is being guided by Chucky. How this kid knew where to go on the subway at his age, I don't know. Maybe guided by Chucky, I assume. I wonder if anyone found it odd, a boy walking around the slums with a doll. Just thinking. They arrive at Eddie Caputo's place. Remember, Chucky swore to get even. Chucky gets into Eddie's house and sets the gas on in the burner. After teasing him around the house for a while, he shoots and kaboom, the end of Eddie. Andy heads back to the cop shop after the explosion, and basically they all think he's insane. And that was going to be the theme of the movie, but it was actually changed at the end. Back at the apartment, the mother loses her temper and begins to try to make him talk. She grabs the doll from the kitchen and the box, and the batteries fall out. Maybe there is a chance her son wasn't lying after all. The movie gets really creepy for a moment as Karen approaches Chucky. When she opens the battery box, he says,
Hi, I'm Chucky. Wanna play?
That, I think, defined the whole series. Just awesome. She begins trying to get him to talk. She fails, so she starts a fire, threatening to put him in. He freaks, and the facial movements are just awesome. No CGI here. Chucky then escapes with the building, with Karen failing to get him. She goes and tells a detective who isn't buying the story. He just thinks that both of them are nuts now. She goes looking for the man who sold her the toy. I'm not really sure what this would have done, but it goes on in a long sequence of shots. Far too long. She finds the bum that sold the doll. Tried to get fresh with her, but the cop shows up and saves the day. How do you find her? The bum tells the cop he got the doll from the shop at the night that Charles was killed. Strange. Anyway, Karen continues to hound the cop for info on Charles, the cop just wanting to put this thing to rest. Despite his initial disbelief, it is shortly cut short when Chucky attacks him in his car. It's actually a pretty decent, sweet struggle, and Chucky is such a maniac through the whole thing. Just a terror. Chuck, or Nick Norris, barely escapes. At the end of the struggle, Chucky gets shot. We'll come back to that one in a second. Karen investigates Charles' apartment. The cop meets her there and shows her a picture of the black man. Yeah, it's even credited that way. And they are on a race to find him before Chuck does. Chucky meets the black voodoo man first. I'm just going to say voodoo. There, Chucky finds out he's turning human and needs to get into another body. The first person he revealed himself to, that being Andy. He got this info by using a voodoo doll to snap him into bits. What a pal, eh? Karen and the cop come too late for the voodoo guy, but he's alive long enough to tell them how to kill Chucky, his heart, and that Andy is in danger. Andy has a total shit attack in his room after Chuck comes for him, and a plan needs to happen. Chucky grabs the keys and checks the room. Andy fools Chuck and escapes the room. Not bad for what? I think he's like 9. Chucky finds him in another hospital room and tries to prepare to defend himself when a doctor comes in the room and grabs Andy. So frustrating for this kid. Chucky jumps into business and electroshocks the doctor to death. And then Andy disappears from the hospital. I guess they didn't have any other locked doors in the hospital. I'm not sure. Andy goes home and bunkers down for a battle with Chucky. Andy and Chucky struggle in the apartment when Chucky hits him with a bat. Is it just me, or does the bat not even come close to his head when he swings? Check it out. Nick and Karen arrive at the apartment just as Chucky is performing the ritual to enter Andy's body. The clouds over the building when the ritual begins kind of remind me of that, of the clouds that go over the buildings in Ghostbusters. Whatever. They begin battle with Chucky in the apartment. It's kind of a game of cat and mouse for the most part. And yeah, Chucky is a maniac in this part, showing why he is one of horror's top guys. It was kind of cool when he was on fire too, but I kind of thought they should have had ended it there, because it kind of dragged on for about like 10 minutes. Chucky's burnt corpse goes missing, then Chucky is back. I'm not sure if he looks really all that bad, but whatever. And they didn't really need this part at all. So Chucky's pounding away at the door with his knife. I don't know why they don't just let him in. I mean, he's just a toy, and he's not that dangerous anymore. He's far more dangerous when you actually don't know that he's a toy. When she shot his head off, I mean, come on, that had to be it. But no. And then the partner cop gets choked through the vent and then runs around with it. It's kind of ridiculous. And then Nick shoots him through the heart, and finally Chucky is dead. Although I can't confirm this through my research like I was saying earlier, I think that it seems pretty obvious to me that the doll was based off the very popular My Buddy dolls from the 80s. I knew many who had them, including myself, and the resemblance is so striking that I'm sure that that's what they were going for. Another thing not commonly known about this film was that the original babysitter's death was supposed to be an electrocution in the bath, but was scrapped and then later used in The Bride of Chucky. Also, the two ideas I'm glad that they scrapped was Chucky growing facial hair as he became more human, and the original title, which was actually supposed to be Blood Buddy. I don't know, it just doesn't sit well with me. Child's Play sounds far more sinister. So, overall, it had some suspense, interesting character plot lines, like with Andy and the doll. It didn't rank up there with a big body count, but that's not really what this type of film is about. At times, though, Chucky ranked up there with the heavy hitters like Jason, Michael, and Freddy. I have to give this movie a solid 7.5 out of 10 personally, and as a recommendation, I'd give it the same. This is Pat for Horror Movie Review Guys saying subscribe and take care.